Ya yo me curé. My boy Ka. Bienvenido. Welcome. Water Hub. Man, what's going on, people? What's going on? I'm here just wanted to do a little recap, so I don't want to stay here too long. And I want to get into some recording, some more tracks, Brother, excuse me, I got a cold, so I got a little sniffle. But I got a cold. It's getting chilly out here in North Carolina. Button up, a lot of tea, and put on some sweaters and button up, y'all. Button up. But I got the window open. I'm trying to air out the house, my room. Anyway, I just want to recap on some experiences this past week. Um, and I want to expand it a little more because sometimes when you get a discussion right off the top, top of your head, and sometimes, you look back and you think and you say, man, I could have said this and that to sort of like clarify and reconcile with people you're speaking with. So we're going to talk about those conflicts, and we're going to talk about what what manifested. So first of all, I did a presentation on Sonetta TV. Shout out to the Nasut Sonetta and the Queen Napa Shada. They're showing me a lot of respect, and I honor that, and I show them the respect in return. You know what I'm saying? Those are my brothers and sisters, and, we have to be tolerant of people differences, you know what I'm saying? So I did the presentation. It was about the artifacts. Are they pseudo or are they real? What's going on? I want to learn. I want to see what's out there. Because again, um, like I stated before, the youth, this is the fourth industrial revolution. So a lot of information you're gonna get is gonna be on the internet. Some of it may not be true. You know what I'm saying? And you have what they call fact checkers out there. You have companies that actually sit in cubicles. Companies, actual companies. That's people that sit in cubicles and on the internet and they fact check. But a lot of times it's very biased. You know what I'm saying? And it's very, there's always an underlying agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want you to mention certain words. They don't want you to certain narratives. You know what I'm saying? Talk about certain communities. So what happened is those they're tied into the algorithm. So when the algorithm, when that keyword appear, they'll fact check it and see whether you know what you're saying is going by their protocols and their rules and regulations. Like Facebook has a company and they have people that sit in cubicles that actually fact check. YouTube does the same. These are companies. They hire employees. They sit in cubicles and they fact check. Bias. They got to protect their brand. They got to protect, what I'm saying, the narrative. Make sure that they abide by certain FCC regulations and code and ethics. You know what I'm saying? For them. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the dark web. You got people out there that just searching things out and coming up with things. So that's the narrative. That's where I was aiming at. You know what I'm saying? So I could have said that. You know what I'm saying? But that's just expanding more. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it here. Um, Man, this is terrible. So, I did my presentation about those artifacts and what I uncovered on the internet, what I uncovered also in Google Books. I went out searching keywords. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you something. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Because this is bring your receipts. Hold on one second. So I haven't yet mastered this, but I'm reading and I'm going over it. Look at this. The art of what? Search engine optimization. And how keyword. Oh, look at that. My the back is green, so you see the back of my screen. The art of search engine optimization. This is searching on the internet. You can go through back doors, you can keywords, you see how all this stuff works. So studying a little bit of this, you know what I'm saying? There's companies out there that pays search engine optimization, people that does this stuff, it's a you can do this. It's an industry. It's a job. You know what I'm saying? So dealing with algorithms and dealing with keywords and stuff like that. So many stuff you can go into here. So it's a big book. It's actually 550 something pages. So I got to focus and I got to get into some things like this. But when I went through it, I found certain things that I was able to use. So, these children now, the youth, are much more smarter, man. They do this naturally. They go on the internet and search up keywords. And like I said, they're not even asking parents. They're not even asking their teachers. If you look at the movie Space Odyssey, Hal was raising up the child. You know what I'm saying? So it's the internet, the fourth industrial revolution, the internet of things, AI, virtual reality, all of that is raising our children, right? So we got to be prepared for that. We got to think of the future. We got to learn. We got to be like Neo in the Matrix when he bend the algorithms to his, you know what I'm saying? That's the Neo. That's the new. That's the ascension. You know what I'm saying? Is bending those algorithms to your ways. You know what I'm saying? You can master it. That's what dealing with the metaverse. That's the whole conversation now that people are having about the metaverse. So that's one of the underlying key things in the presentation, okay? And also personal experience, because at the end I show that statue of that's in a custom building. I actually went there. I went there. That's a picture that the sister took, and I found it on her page. But I actually went to those statues, and I went to Battery Park. That's in Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one of the largest economical centers in the New York Empire. That's the center, Wall Street, stock exchange. All of that is there, right? So you see this because it's a commodity. You could tie that all in, but we ain't gonna do that here. And also the site, ancient origins, and the way, their mission and what they do. Some of these companies, have a mission statement, and this is how, this is their initiative. This is what they do. You know what I'm saying? So I brought that out. Also brought out the word pseudo. It's a very derogatory term, and I could turn things around because I hear this brother pseudo killers. I'm like, well, then you should kill yourself. Because if you look up the word pseudo, when I brought it up, it's ingenuine. You're not being genuine. Because remember about truth. Everything is half truth. We learned that in Hermetic science. But you got to bring your piece of truth and you got to match it up to another person's truth. It's a puzzle. And sometimes what you got to do, bend the puzzle, right? In order for it to fit, the pieces to fit perfectly together, right? But there are individuals out there that don't want to hear your truth. You're part of it. They hold on to their half truth, and that's all they know. You know what I'm saying? So that's ingenuine. You know what I'm saying? I honor and I listen a lot. I think that Reggie is onto something when he did the Black City plan, and I really appreciate that brother a lot. But and I see that he's coming around. He's not being so disgruntled, you know what I'm saying, on certain things. But I think that when having a conversation with him, you see, he doesn't prescribe to other sciences. To him, he doesn't care that. To him, it's just our historical and historical data. But he didn't want to listen to the genetics data that I was bringing into the picture. And I could have brought in also the geological oceanography about the plate tectonic shifting and spreading. When I was explaining to him that millions, he said 50,000 years, but I'm talking millions of years, because they found bones of humans living millions of years ago. Okay? This is a study. This is archaeology. Millions of years ago, the continent weren't placed the way it is today. Because of the plate tectonic, it shifts. Now, that's a whole science, that's a whole study that has manifest and evolved since the 70s. Okay? I have a lot of information on that I could have brought to the table, right? So when you got two continents, there was a Africa and South America, and a river that separated both of those continents. You have the supercontinental, what they call Pangea or Ganawa. These scientists study, mapped out with equipment, had, looked into rock formations, oceanography, the crust of the earth. This is a science. This is geological oceanography. He doesn't prescribe to that. He does not prescribe to that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's not interested in that. That's fine. So you only got to deal with historical records with him. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that conversation becomes so narrow and contracted because you cannot expand it. You know what I'm saying? And put other pieces together. So he totally disregarded the genetic about the Seneca Gambia being underrepresented and one of the oldest genetic traits that's found through all Latin and Caribbean and North America. He didn't want to. He didn't want to look at that issue. And you know what I'm saying? So he just wanted to discuss about slavery, again, pushing that slavery narrative, where we predate slavery, don't we? We predate slavery. Slavery is not African, it's just a part of African experiences in the diaspora. But we predate that. You can't get into that kind. Then the conversation went into Ankh. I called in yesterday. Like I said, pseudo killers, you should kill yourself, bro. And I hope one day that someone send this to you. Kill yourself. Pseudo killers, kill yourself. Because what you're doing is ingenuine. It's ingenuine because you don't want to bring other science data into the mix. You don't. Okay? You don't want to do that. You're stuck on that narrow-minded. And that's ingenuine, bro. Okay? If the true word pseudo is ingenuine, that's what that is. Because you can't expand your conversation at all. You can't do it. So, man, he talked about, that the Africans didn't have the sales and the shipping industry, their boats, the manufacturing and the building of the boats were sort of like inferior to the European. And this is what he was implying. He didn't say it outrightly, but this is what he's implying. It wasn't until the European and the Spaniards came in that the shipping industry became with sails and the crossing over the Atlantic Ocean. Not bearing in mind, one, geological oceanography. Two, not bearing in mind that even if you go into Europe and you look at the Santa Maria, the Niña and the Pinta, the navigators were Moors. Moors, or what you call mulattoes or Moors, Moros. Pinzón, Pedro Negro, Pedro the Navigator, these were Moors. So who taught the Europeans? Where did they get this information, right? And then when you look at historical data, when they come over, because I brought out Harvard University in one of the books that was published in 1920 from Harvard University, right? When the Spaniards and the Moors had spears with brass, they recognized that when they met up with the Taínos or the Caribbeans or the natives of the Hispaniola, they saw them, because that's a welcoming party. They're going to show their shit off. That's a welcoming party. They're going to come with their spears and they're seeing what? Brass and copper and gold. They recognize that from being an African custom. You see, they're not understanding how customs works. So they can't put the pieces together. This is the problem that a lot of these brothers have. And, they call them scholars, scholarship. Let me tell you something. A scholar means that you're under a scholarship, right? I received a scholarship from NYU under music technology. That's my field, music technology and music performance. That's my field. And I wanted to be an acoustical engineer, so I take it further into the science of sound waves and frequency. That's what I do. So am I a scholar? That's my field in scholarship. Okay. But again, I venture out to other fields. And let me tell you something. I can take that field of frequencies and tones and added to linguistics and put it into that conversation. But you see, these brothers cannot do that. They don't want to hear it. They can't do it. Oh, hold on a second. I'm sorry. Somebody got a comment here. Raubat. Mahat Raubat. Let me, give me 1 second while I also look into the Facebook to see who's here. I want to be courteous and make sure that I'm addressing people. And not to, try to stay on topic here. So, we have a problem. And you know what? That's their way of doing things. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Okay? That's the way you get down. 1 second here. I'm trying to get into Facebook. Oh, here we go. Let me see. You can go on my page. Let's see who's on here so I can address certain people and stuff like that. Here we go. Let me load the volume. Okay. Antonio Gardez, my cousin Richie, what's going on? Beloved. Familia. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, in these conversations, discussions, you got to be tolerant of people's differences. And like I said, they're narrow-minded and contractual way of thinking. They're not expansive because they can't go into different, sciences. And then it doesn't take much to do that. Like I tell you, we got the internet. You can search things out, but you have to, again, in your mind, put those pieces together, okay? That's detective work. I could have made a good detective. You know what I'm saying? That's putting it together. I enjoy doing things like that. I love puzzles and word puzzles and regular puzzles. My mother's like that too. I love doing puzzles. But life can be a puzzle. You know what I'm saying? Everything is half truth and you got to put it together. So, and another thing, they always say about Malachi Zio, Panaba Ya Nanan, that he is pseudo because he plagiarized books and stuff like that. And he told us, he's a reformer. He's taking thus knowledge that's out there, rebranding it, reforming it, and give it to his back. But let me tell you something. Didn't the Europeans do the same thing? Didn't they go into these ancient findings like Samaria or Hamet in the Nile Valley? Took a lot of the doctrine from Alexandria, from Timbuktu, in the walls of Kemet. What did they do? They took it, rebranded, right? Reformed it, rebranded, and gave it back because it's economics. It's to further their agenda. So when you have a man that his agenda initiative is to propagate and to raise the consciousness of his people, African people, all throughout the diaspora and in the world, then you call him pseudo? You call him plagiarizer? Really? Come on, man. That doesn't make sense. But you see, common sense is not so common, right? Common sense is not so common. So you can take information, rebrand it, reform it, rebrand it, and put it out there. That's what a lot of authors do. You know that, right? That's a lot of authors do that. And there's proof of that. When in AEO, we had a book called The Science of Breath. So then you got this dude, Chuck Morgan or something. Oh, and he put out The Science of Breath, and that it was first published in 1904 or 10 by a name called Ramachandra. I looked it up. Ramachandra is a pen name. That information was from a European. He got that from India, the yoga, because he went into the Indian faith. Caucasian always tends to go, because that's Asian, so they always tend to go to the Asian faith, knowledge. He rebranded. He reformed it, rebranded, and put it out to the public under Ramachandra. So when you get another man like Panabayanan, Malachi Z. York, who takes that information back and say, wait a minute, this is public information. This is something that was ancient. You did that. Well, you know why? I'm going to reverse it. Because he always tells us he's got to reverse the spell. You got to reverse the spell. So I have to rebrand and reform things. Reform it and rebrand it and give it back to you to reverse that spell. You know what I'm saying? So you say that's wrong from him to do that? See? Common sense is not so common. And we have a sensibility, a mental sense that should be common amongst us. But a lot of that is cut off. Our sense of reductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, using those terms, psychological terms or reasoning terms. You know what I'm saying? You could just look it up. But for the sake of this conversation, it's a skill. It's a skill that's practiced among analytical thinkers and analytical scientists. You don't only have one scientist on the lab, you have many of them with different fields. Some are analytical, some are biological, some are chemical. You know, all these different fields got to come under one because they put the pieces together in the lab. This is common sense. Open up your eyes and look, observe things around you, and you'll see that you can wake up. You know, you see the hypnotic spell that was been put on us. So yeah, it was very, you know, like I said, pseudo killers, man, kill yourself, bro. Kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because now I like the brother, the Masi warrior, Jonathan, because he bring information, and you never see him talking submersive like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, always about education, and that's important. That's a very important thing. That's how I look for brothers like that. You know what I'm saying? What they bring to the table like that. But I'm sorry to say, I respect the brother Uncle West, right? I respect him, the God killer, he call himself. Sometimes he does bring in information because, like I said, here lies the truth. People could be speaking like they're speaking the truth, and you can see the lies in it. But those are pieces that you got to put it together, and you can arrive at a conclusion, and you can arrive at a truth. So you got to, like the elders and wise men to sit down and just listen. And as he's listening, he's seeing one where you're coming from. I mean, he's seeing what half truth you're bringing to the table. Okay? And how that lines up with his experiences. You know what I'm saying? That's wisdom. So yeah, and also the brother Jaheim Muhammad apologized because I don't know, he thought that I was Arabic or spoke. Let me tell you something. You can learn different languages if you're going to travel or you have something to propagate experiences. Learning languages is important because it's expanding, right? That's linguistics. I grew up in a Hispanic household, a mother, you know what I'm saying, and a family speaking Spanish. But I went to an English school, the regular public school. But I learned Arabic, and I learned enough Arabic to survive my environment at that time as an Ansarullah Jamiat, right? I learned enough. So I can say, Assalamu alaikum, and then I know the response will be, if someone said that to me, Assalamu alaikum, barakatuh Allah. Barakah Allah, right? I might be saying it a little, because of my accent, I might be saying it a little different. So I told the brother, astaghfirullah, but I said it really fast, and you made so many mistakes. I said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bro, that got him upset. And I'm like, why are you getting upset about that? So he got very, very disgruntled with me at first. But I being a practitioner of, when you deal with ambassadorship, you have to learn how to subdue and how to address conflict between groups, between communities and countries and nations. You got to learn how to subdue that conflict. So I did my best. I did my best to subdue that conflict to the brother. So later on, he apologized. He said that I'm a fake scholar. You know what I'm saying? Because I said pay-per-view. He was hearing pay-per-view. And I might have said that. I don't know. Maybe I should look back. I might have said that because pay-per-view sound like peer-reviewed. I might have said that. But I'm going to be 60 years old. But come on. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Let's not get it twisted. So to be a scholar, I had professors at NYU mispronunciate language. Mispronunciate because they spoke other languages. They had accents. Had German teachers at NYU, French, who was teaching in an English classes. And they mispronounced. So what I'm going to say, oh, teacher, you're not a real teacher because you mispronounced that. Please. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Are you really? That's emotional. People get so. Brother was getting so emotional, but then later on, he did call me, and he didn't call me. He texted me, and he said that he does apologize, for that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, don't apologize to me. Apologize to yourself, because you're doing yourself harm. You ain't doing me no harm at all. You're doing yourself. You know what I'm saying? So apologies, forgiveness, it's got to come from within. You can't forgive me or apologize to me. You got to do that within yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? Just don't do it again. I hope that you learn from that lesson. You know what I'm saying? So, with all that being said, I'm going to switch over to another subject, but that's important. You know what I'm saying? Again, these conversations, these discussions, and let me tell you something. Speaking with this brother, Uncle, I did get sick. I even said it, I tell you about medication, but sickening to my stomach. For some reason, it's when you're an empath. You feel people, their tone and what they're saying. It gets me sick. See, I can have a discussion with Reggie. I don't get sick. I can have a discussion with Sonetta. I don't get sick. Or in the pop. But certain people I have a discussion with gets me sick. I got people right now in my family. If I speak, I get sick. It does something to my body. I don't know if I'm the only one that this is happening to. You can get sick. Those are tone vibrations. So I'm learning how to, work with that and switch that. So I'm hoping to have a conversation with this brother, and hopefully I'm strong enough that I don't get sick, and try to, make sure that the remedy and the cure is much stronger than the poison they're trying to give me. You know what I'm saying? Overcome that poison. That's what's going on. Interesting discussions, bro. But I tell you something, I'm not gonna be doing it for so long. I just decided to do it now. Get out there, a little time in my hand. I'm gonna spend on music, and I'm gonna reach out to my brothers. Spend time with Amin Numa. I enjoy him, and I enjoy Pharaoh. And then I've been getting into K Solo, but those are my Boricua brothers and sisters. So I don't have. You got to be careful going into those podcasts because they be cursing. I got to be. Sometimes I can't even deal with it, and I don't even come on. But I try to, they're my Latino brothers and sisters. They're my Hispanic brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that I reach out, and from the streets. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. If you can't relate to people, then what's the use of having that knowledge? You know what I'm saying? If you're always going to be conflicting and you never want to reconcile with your brothers, so your sisters and brothers, what's the use of the knowledge? What's the use? You taking this information that Panabay Yanen, Malakazi, all the teachers that you have, you're taking this information, but you can't deal with people. The man dealt with people. Dr. Bender, if you can't not deal with people, right? What's the use of having that knowledge? Why? The early Christians, they spend time doing, they study that, of how to deal with people. Scientology does that. A lot of groups, Muslims, have to, a lot of, Israelites need to get, those black Israelites needs to get on board. They need classes on how to deal with people. You know what I'm saying? And also the Muslims here in America needs to learn how to deal with people. And I think that's the reason why Nation of Islam went to Scientology, so they can learn how to deal with people. And you see it, because I was speaking to a brother, and he says in Philadelphia, the only brothers that come to you and even give you newspaper for free and have conversation and very have courtesy and cordial Nation brother from Nation Islam. So I'm like, wow, maybe Scientology is doing something good for them. They're getting these lessons. I'm studying some lessons. I have to study some lessons in Scientology. As to be an ambassador, you have to have many different schools of thoughts. So you can understand environment and how people work around you. You can understand nature. Go, well, this is Africa diaspora. You know what I'm saying? We need to expand, you know? So you got to learn how to deal with people. You know what I'm saying? That's right. My, you laugh. That's so funny. I'm happy you're laughing. So yeah, I mean, what's the use of knowing something if you can't deal with people? You know, it doesn't make sense. True, right? Yeah, you know, and that's important. But I want to switch up a little bit, you know. So that's the discussions I had. That's my week and recap. Again, you know, in those discussions that I had, there's some more other things that could have come to the table. Sometimes you can't give somebody everything all at once, right? You got to spoon feed them, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, next time I have a conversation with Reggie, I'm going to ask him, Reggie, do you know anything about geological oceanography? And do you believe that's a credible science? You know what I'm saying? You know? And so if you do know that, you know that one of the discussions and one of the, you know, when you read about and you study that, it's about plate tectonic, how they ship. And also with Ankh about the shipping, he forgot also, you see, that's what I'm saying, missing pieces. Oceanography, the study of the currents of the ocean. So if you are a navigator with the stars and you know the current of your oceans, you let the current drives you, wow, you got to take that into consideration. They don't know anything about shipping. They don't know anything about oceanography. They don't want to bring that into the conversation. So again, when I was getting at also about the information that these Berbers had from Timbuktu, you know, so the sub-Saharan, the information they had that these documents and this industry was taken over to Spain, and they had access to that. You know what I'm saying? Again, you know what I'm saying? And then I brought up the Chinese. I brought up the Vikings. You know what I'm saying? Because again, they travel with currents. When you study the currents in oceanography, it's inevitable. You know, it's just so evident. You know what I'm saying? It's inevitable. It's not far from being trivial. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using those words like that. But it's important. You know what I'm saying? It's important. You have to take those into consideration. That's what these brothers don't do. You know what I'm saying? I learned very well from Patnabat Yananan, because, you know, he was able to do that. You know what I'm saying? He was able to do that. And then when I had conversations with him, I see how he brought other different sciences and other different things in there. But he was spoon feeding. And then he led brothers like, you know, other family like us to expand that further. Expand it further. The Mumanoons, the young brothers, the brothers probably expanded further. You know what I'm saying? That's a true master teacher. That's the art of mastering teaching. You know what I'm saying? When you're able to give information to your student and allow them to expand it, see where they're going to take it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, you know, and there's a lot of, that's a good teacher. When you know, you test your teacher. Is whatever information your teacher is giving you, is he spoon feeding you, and how can you take that information or affirmation, whatever you that formation, how can you take that and expand that? I'm doing that with a brother right now, and he's bringing me some good works. You know, I gave him a little key, and now the brother is expanding. He's even sending me books about the Sabaean culture. That's expansion. We got brothers that think like that. We take something in, and then we expand it, and we look into here. We go out of the box. That's why I was telling the brother, you know, peer reviewed is important, but it's contractual because it has agenda. You also have to go out of the box experiences and information. You got to think out of the box. In your university, the professor love when you think out of the box. They will tell you, oh, you're thinking out of the box. Very good. You're expanding. That's the whole idea. But you know what? That's multiversity. They're universe. They're what? They're contracted. They can't expand. You have to expand. Your experiences is one, and the information you're getting. So yeah, I mean, they don't take the current ocean currents into consideration. They don't take in the oceanography, the geological oceanography, the tectonic plates moving, the movement of these ocean floors and the crust of the earth. They don't take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? At all. They don't take in the linguistics found all over North America and the Caribbean and Hispanic America, Latin America, what they call Latin America. They're not taking that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? So they're disregarding the artifacts that are found, you know, because they're not putting those pieces together. You know, they're not looking at the Native Americans and their glyphs, and they're not matching it up with Mande or Sabaean glyph, which is the Mande was the empire consists of many different tribes from West Sudan, and that's Kush. You know, so you had Sabaean glyphs coming from Iraq, Iran, Yemen, South Arabia into Ethiopia. That's a part of that's Africa diaspora. You know, come on, man. Africa diaspora, all of that. So, you know, when I ask Brother Apostle, are you Afro-Asiatic? No, I'm not Afro-Asiatic. We have both lineages coming from Asia. That's the reason why the messenger, Elijah Muhammad, said, you know, the Asiatic black man as opposed to the African black man. And then we have to put it all together. And we see how Africa and Asia, we learned that in Masonry when the moon departed from the sun, right? We learned that there is a separation, but it was once one together, landmass and one civilization, you know, one tribes. So we're Afro-Asiatic, no matter where you at in Africa, in Mali, Congo, Benin, no, anyway. The Twa people traveled. They got the oldest genetics, so they traveled. The newborns traveled. The Twa traveled. The Khoikhoi and the San, they traveled. They mixed in with, again, Sumerian black people, Sumerian Thai people. You know what I'm saying? When you follow linguistics, you see this in linguistics. You see this in linguistics. And then you see this in genetics, you know. But again, you know, like I said, you know, sometimes, you know, if it doesn't fit the agenda of a people economically, you run into some problem. They'll hide. You could just hide it and bury it. Lies bury. You could put it in lies bury, but you have to unearth those lies, right? That fractal lie, and put those pieces together to arrive at a truth. Huh? Because here lies the truth. In order for you to know the truth, you got to know lies. In order for you to know lies, you got to know the truth. It goes vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It's not difficult at all. It's not difficult. Not very difficult. I mean, I'm not the smartest dude out here, bro. By far, I'm not the smartest one, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I try to be honorable. I try to be appreciative of everybody and knowledge coming in. You know what I'm saying? I just try, you know, not try. That's what I do best. Appreciative. I like to have conversations with people, see what they bring to the table. And not challenge them, but again, put the pieces together. Let's put the pieces together. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get stuck on your fractal, you contractual, you know, the fifth dimension is about expansion and contracting. Some people are so contracted, they can't expand. And some people get so expanded also that they cannot focus on a single point. That's also important. Don't get it twisted. What came first, the dot or the multiple of dots? Because if you have a multiple of dot, then you got a dot. Where do you get it from? From the multiple. Right? It's like existence and creation. Think about that. We learned that in Sons of the Green Light. Learn about it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I want to switch the conversation over, being that my sister's here. You know, I used to get on that brother Polite about the women stuff. But here's the thing. I think the brother's onto something. Success. Now listen to the word. Success. Success. Sex. 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 The way you handle yourself in the bedroom determine how successful you're going to be. That's what I learned. When you work as a couple together, financial, look it up. That brother was onto something. He learned that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get together with a person, it's about expanding. It's all economics. Sorry to say. It's not about gazing into a person's eyes saying, I'm in love. No, it's about both of you gazing at the same point, expanding at the same point. That's true ashuk, expansion. Not just, you know what I'm saying? So when you look at the word success, yeah, that's a science. We learned that. And that's one of the hardest schools when you deal with relationship. For me, some brothers have an up on it. Pimps got an up on it. But the thing is, sometimes they get a little detrimental and kind of like destroy them because you're putting yourself too much out there. You know what I'm saying? And you destroy yourself. But if you have one woman that you can communicate, for one is, remember conflict. You don't have conflict because the third party is not in the mix. It's about you and me. Let's leave the third party out because usually when there's a conflict, there's a third party. Or some organization as a third party, some group or some person as a third party. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very, I'll tell you right now, I'm being vulnerable here. That's a very hard school. Very hard school because we've been poisoned. We've been taught, we've been poisoned. We've been fracturalized. We've been torn apart. Our relationship has been torn apart. Our sex life is not being a practice. Sex is a low force. The sex force is very important. When you practice that, you have to balance it with your higher force. So before you even have any sex, you spiritually, everything has to be prepared spiritually. That's why there's, in Kama Sutra, you light up your incense. You make sure the tones are right. The lighting is right. You make sure the foods are right. The body is right. The odor of the body. It's a science. You know what I'm saying? So when you have a mate that you're able to practice a science, you expand. You practice. Now, I'm not against the whole polygyny thing. You know what I'm saying? Some people, it works for some people, and it doesn't work for some people. I'll be honest with you. It works for some people, it doesn't work for some people. But it's all the same. Because if you're in a polygyny relationship, each one of those relationships, you have to concentrate on certain things. That you have to find quality of something that you're going to concentrate. You don't concentrate on the other sisters. And you got to make sure everybody's getting along. Because it's about expanding what? A business. Because if you're expanding your business and you have women working for you, but they have other relationship with other men, like they do in this civilization, you run into some problems sometimes. You run into some problems. You run into some conflict. Because when the person goes to the job or doing the job, they go home, they listen to their mate, they this and that. Then they come back. If let's say you're a business owner, you have a woman, she goes home, she has a different mate, right? She's getting genetics from the mate. He puts things in her ear, this and that. You know what I'm saying? It can work like that. Even though there's some people that seems to be managing well, you know what I'm saying, with that particular arrangement. But it's not always like that. It's not always like that, So again, success is success. Sex plays a very important part. The way you handle yourself in bed will determine how successful you will be. Look into the life of millionaires, billionaires. Look at it. Howard Hughes had a hotel for the women. Let me tell you, I'm not condoning any of that stuff, to be honest with you. But it's a reality for him. You know what I'm saying? You know, very successful, great men, if you look into their life, either their success is based on a multiple of relationships. Because remember, in order for you to grow in your business, you got to have multiple relationships, business relationships. So underneath it all, there seems to be a sex underlining, vibe to it. You know what I'm saying? Frequency to it. You know what I'm saying? That's business. That's economics. Economics. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a very difficult school, let me tell you. Very difficult school because we all have been traumatized. We all have problems, man. That's why I recommend people reading The 9 Ball. The 9 Ball, look it up on Squid. The 9 Ball, talk about the sex force and the sex life. Sex life of a Muslim was something written by Panaba Nanan is one. You can have a good one monogamous relationship with a woman, but in order for it to work, you both have to be spiritually connected, and you both have to acknowledge that. So whenever you approach with that, you're ready. But if you choose to only have a monogamous relationship, then you have to take that into account. This is as far as we can go. If you satisfied with that, hey, I'm in. But if you want more, understand one thing, it's going to require an expansion of a sexual force. Are you ready for that? It's real talk. Real talk. So it's one of the hardest schools, man, especially if you live with somebody that doesn't apply to that. And sometimes, again, it's hard to communicate with people and make them see a reality if there's no affinity, the likeness. You have to really like the person, and you got to really like what they're about. That opens up the line to communication. And you got to get rid of the conflicts, because that will limit the amount of reality, communication, and the affinity. That will limit the amount. And usually when there's a conflict, is someone else, a third party. A conflict is not 2 parties. It's 3 parties, 3 or more. I keep saying this is, look around you. It's like that. So if you have a conflict with your mate, then you got to look at the third party. Find out what information she's getting, either from an organization. You look at Jehovah's Witnesses. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses got problems, man. I mean, with family and stuff. I got to keep it a buck. I see it. A lot of Christians too, But they're again, it could work. You could be of a different faith. You know what I'm saying? But eventually that's going to come up. And there are people that can be very tolerant, especially people from the old times, very tolerant. You got a household where the woman was Catholic and the man was a Christian, and they got along. But it's all the same thing, Christianity. It's just different forms. You know what I'm saying? But once that person allows that another person from that organization to get into their ear, they can disrupt your household. I've seen it happen a lot. The pastor can get to, you know what I'm saying? The scenario. Let's say you have a mate and she goes to church. You don't go to church. Then the pastor gets at her and putting things in her. She comes back, she won't give you that. Carajo, ¿qué te pasa a ti? Yo estoy cansada de esta mierda. I'm tired of this shit. What's up, man? I'm tired of this shit. I can't take it no more. After they come from what? That's why it's important to keep the communication open with your mate and say, listen, this is what we gotta focus. This is what we're about. We can't allow the third party to get, unless that third party is a gonna be beneficial to our relationship. I might allow that. Other than that, don't do it. Organizations and groups, don't do it, because it's gonna be conflicting. Unless you're a person that like to live in drama. I don't like drama, yo. I'll tell you right now. I don't like drama. So that's one of the hardest schools. Again, success, sex, you know what I'm saying? Finance, fiance, marriage, company marriage, trust, all of that stuff. So, shout out to that brother, even though I don't like a lot of stuff that he's done. But I think he's going through a school of trying to expand himself and going to the school of women. And that's hard. I can't live like that. I don't know. Being a pimp or being multiple women like that it's work. You have to be physically, mentally, and spiritually very strong. Very, very strong to do that. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, you can have one mate and have a beautiful life. Expand your knowledge with just one mate, because you're both agreed on this is what we're about. This is it. If you expect more, then you got to live with the consequences of more. We got to be able to, green pasture, you know what I'm saying? Create our ship and just glide with this, just me and you, looking at the same direction, don't look at me. Let's look at the same direction, make sure. And you see, that's one of the stories, biblical story of Adam and Eve, when you look at that paradigm. There was a conflict between Adam and Eve and God because of another third party came in and caused a confliction. Broke it apart. It's biblical. It's reality also. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things in the Bible you can take and extract some morals and ethics from it. So when you look at it, in order to have conversation with a Christian person, and Muslims too. Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad was given the surah, Kafirun. Right? Remember that? I don't know. People don't know that, but in the Quran, Kafirun, you're covered too. My deen is my deen. Your deen is your deen. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to bring in the cover things, a lie. Don't try to fracturize me. And also the surah, the Nasra. You know what I'm saying? Nasi. We learn Nas means to be fractalized. And we got to put those pieces together as a whole being. So I've been almost an hour here. Appreciate everybody that's on here. And I'm continuing on doing some stuff and, and doing some more content. Pretty soon, a lot of these podcasts that I do, I'm just scratching the surface. So it can get so deep. But if brothers really want to take, if we all want to take that journey, with Panabayanan and also in reality and around us, I'm going to set up a Patreon, you know what I'm saying? Because it's going to take a lot of research, you know what I'm saying? It's going to take a lot of research. It's going to take, economics, you know what I'm saying? And spread it, you know what I'm saying? What I enjoy with Sarnetta Studio, he made a good, piece of change. He got a good donations, and I didn't want any of that. I told him, no. So people was asking, put your Cash App in there. Maybe next time I'll do that, but no. Give it to the brother. Because right now, I'm just scratching the surface. Scratching the surface, man. There's so much more that can be unpacked here. And if this is enough for you, then by all means, But if you're willing to unpack it and also share your experience, I'm always willing to learn from, like I tell all the brothers, man, I sit at the feet of the youth. I sit, I learn from a child the way, reminds you of when you was a child, the things you did. I learn from everybody. I learn from the most disgruntled person. I learn from a alcoholic, a drug addict. You can learn a lot from a drug addict just by observing their lifestyle, what they do, and what comes out of their mouth. Bro, real. Doesn't mean you have to sit there and be a part of it, but you can observe. Our science is a science also of observance, because that's a sense. We think like scientists, right? Touching, feeling, tasting, sensing, and also thinking, reasoning. So, observance. When you go to the ancient Nile Valley civilizations, because I don't always say Kemet, because Kemet was just one part. It was a huge civilization down the Nile Valley, and that predates Kemet, pre-dynastic. You know what I'm saying? And when you study that, you get to see that our ancestors, even our recent ancestors, from the islands or North America, wherever you are from, our grandparents, they were good observers. They observe. As you grow older and your wisdom grow, you get to observe a lot more than speaking. You get to observe. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to be doing this for a very long time, tell you, a couple of years. I'm not going to be doing this. I'll come on from time to time, but I want to maintain also my, not secretness, my sacredness. My sacredness. Right now, I definitely would like to share some things, because I think that, this internet could be a tool, or it could be beneficial, or it could be detrimental. And we got to be very careful. When you get people like the God Killer, and not to be disparaged, not to be detrimental about that, but brother, kill yourself. Because you got people out here. You got people. The jig is up. The jig is up. You can't come out here and pull a wool over people's eye. Well, it's one of the things that Pa Nabad Yananin came to do, is to open our eyes and give us the information, open our eyes to certain things, as to break that spell. You can't put that over me. And the sonetta that Vocab Malone. Oh man, that's the spell. That's some warlock shit. Yo, continuing on and on, and I'm like, yo, no. But I don't fear that, because I'm above warlocks and witches, shaman. I'm extraterrestrial. I'm a constellations. I know the constellations I come from. Not to spook people out, but that's part of who you are. Not to spook people out. Remember, we come through our parents, but we're not from here. One day I will reveal, I will unpack that. You know what I'm saying? I would unpack that. And we know each other by the look in our eyes and the tonality. We know each other. And right now it's about Sirius, the constellation Sirius, you know what I'm saying? And what's happening in Mali with the Doggins, charting Sirius, and the Orion belt and Sirius. It's about collecting the genetic, activating that genetic information that's being attached to what they call the cosmos. That's another mind. Because remember, mind is a reservoir. You got the mental mind, which is a reservoir of ideas and concepts. You have a solar mind, which is the reservoir of feelings, right? Habits. But you have a higher mind, superconscious mind, which is what? A reservoir of etheric energy. Etheric energy. That's another mind. And it has formations. You know what I'm saying? That's another, mind, like I said. So when you, know this and you get in tune with that, it does something to you. You get to know who you are. They know who you are. It's just you're the only one who don't know who you are. I put up that, remember when you look at the end of Sarnetta, I went to that building and you see in a custom building, bro. They know who you are. They know your story told for many centuries. It's just, again, they took it, reformed it, rebranded, and gave it to you. They gave it to you back. There's an ancient practice of Christianity. Well, they call it Christianity, but we didn't call it Christianity back then. We called it Hermetic principles, right? Tahuti. When you study Christian science, they always bring up the Hermetic principles. You know that? Study Christian science. I study science of mind. Ernest Holmes, science of mind. I took courses in that. Well, when I was at the spiritual building over there in Orlando, Florida, study that. It's Hermetic principles. That's what I was studying. But I knew that from prior. It was from Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. Is I was able to, again, cloak myself amongst organization and find myself within that. But understanding that it's their initiative, it's their agenda, is to create their economics for their survival. So they reform and then rebranded a lot of this civilization, the information, the spiritual practice and stuff, and reformed and gave it to you as Christianity, Mohammedanism, Mosism, and this is Judaism, Christianity, yeah, and Islam. You could trace all of that. I mean, right with the internet, you could trace all of that back to its origin. That's what it's all about. To understand something, you have to trace it back to its origin to really understand what it is all about. So I understand Christianity. Overstand Christianity. I overstand Islam, and I overstand Judaism. I overstand Buddhism. I overstand that. Wu Sabat, Wu Nuap. I overstand it because I can trace all of it to its origin point, which is Ahad. Ahad is that point that's in the middle. I don't know how to say it, but you know what I'm saying? Ahad. Ahad. And that's the expansion. That's the doorway. Pa'ut. The expansion to Yananan, which is the light. The cosmic light. You know, Ya, O, Nanan. O Noon, Ya Noon, O lighted, enlightened one. O enlightened one from the constellation. The doorway to this Abba is Pa'ut, expansion. Check that out. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Makes me some tea, man. I don't know what to do. Some tea and stuff, but I feel great. Yeah, I feel healthy and stuff. I'll probably take a walk a little later. It's beautiful out there. Eat me some more fruits. You know, when I feel like this, I like to eat fruit. I don't eat fruits a lot because I learned from Panabad Yananan, our master teacher back in the day, that fruit is, you can't eat a lot of fruits every day because you become immune to it. It's like medicine. You know what I'm saying? Certain fruits and vegetables are like medicine. You know what I'm saying? So if you eat too much of it, you become immune to it. So when you have a certain ailment and you need to use it as a medicine, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So now, because I feel like this, I just get into the little fruits and some type of vegetables. You know what I'm saying? I listen to my body, I eat like that. So I'm not the most healthiest person, to be honest with you. But I'm learning. I'm learning with the help of certain brothers, information that I get from certain brothers and certain sisters. Ma'at is one. You know, certain brothers and sisters out here that gives me certain type of information, man. and that's important. You know what I'm saying, for the health. But other than that, I feel great. My mind is great. Like I said, I got a little certain people. I got to, I got to learn how to settle that because I like to be tolerant of people's differences, and I can't allow people to get me sick. Certain people can get you sick. Their vibe, what they say, is just sickening. And you know what I find a lot of them people at? Be honest with you, I'm gonna reveal something. People that came from the military gotta be very careful. I don't know what they did in the military, right? The experiment in the military that a lot of people came out with a traumatic sickness. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's just my observant. And I'm very military minded. Let me tell you. I was a cadet earlier. I love it. But there's something about military and the certain that you got to be very careful. So to all my brothers and sisters out there, I love you, the veterans. Thank you for your service and stuff like that. But again, be very careful of the experimentation that went on, and you can cure it. You can cure it. And I notice when I speak to a military personnel, people or police officers, they get me sick. Some police officers don't, because I met certain police officers that when they meet me, their shield comes down, boom, because they know I'm not there to cause any harm, and I'm there, for their benefit. So their shield comes down. But you got to be careful when you got to learn how to put on the uniform and learn how to take it off. You go to war, a lot of people that went to war and came back sick, mentally, physically sick. I got people that came from Vietnam, my family, sick. I got people that went into the military, came out sick mentally and physically sick. They break you down in there. They break you down. They break your they say breaking your ego a different way. They shattering you. They contractualizing you because they want to build you into these apps so that they can agenda. It's what that life is all about. You can't hate on it. That's that industry. So I got to learn how to deal with that. Because I love brothers and sisters that were in the military. I met sisters in the Navy. Beautiful sister. And I love it. Good people. But then again, you got to look at the programming and the confliction, because that organization and group, they third party comes in and give you, and that's how you get conflict. So as ambassadors, we got to come and clean all that up. Clean it up. Right. Anyway, peace and blessings to everyone. There's some people that, and not to be, like I said, the people that went to the military and come back out that was able to take that off. The programming didn't quite hit them. They outwrote that programming, but not everybody does that. Anyway, peace and blessings to you all, man. Just look for future podcasts. I'm gonna start sharing some screens and stuff and unpacking this. Okay. So peace and blessings to y'all. Let me just give you my outro, because I got continually remind myself to get on my script, which is going to be actually a book. I just don't only want to make it into script because I don't know. The movie industry is very hard to get into. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even like it. But if I do it a book to share my experience as a percussionist, in the in the hood, Nueva York. You know what I'm saying? It'll be great. Okay? Peace and blessings to you. Peace. Ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé.